It's Friday, March 8, 2024. Welcome to your backcountry snowpack summary brought to you by North Shore Rescue. Another week, another meter. It snowed a ton this week and the skiing was pretty phenomenal. The temperature stayed nice and cold, and all that new snow, for the most part, is settling quite nicely. We do have a lot to talk about in the snowpack discussion. We'll get to that in a second. But first, I'd like to talk about last week we got several SAR calls and they all followed essentially the same pattern. And I think that we could eliminate probably around 3/4 of the SAR calls around the sea to sky if people would ask themselves 2 questions before they go down a slope. And that's not even considering the avalanche hazard. Those 2 questions is, 1, what's down there? And of course, not knowing what's down there is part of the fun of exploring on skis. But a quick look at a map might actually give you an idea of whether this is promising terrain or if this is going to turn into a gong show. And then the second question is, once I'm down there, how far am I going to be from my car and how am I going to get back to it? So when people go down drainage they don't know very well and get stuck, and this happens during considerable avalanche hazard or rising avalanche hazard, like was the case on last Tuesday, it becomes very difficult for search and rescue teams because we cannot take unreasonable amount of risks. And the person that was rescued on Cyprus was fairly oblivious to the level of avalanche hazard that was present at the time, and was really rescued minutes before we decided to entirely stop the operation because the risk was becoming unreasonable. So yeah, like, take the time. I know that the powder is super appealing and we've been waiting for it so much this year, but before you go onto a slope, please make sure you know where it's going and have a plan on how you're going to get out of there once you're done. So if you want to know about all the new snow that we got and what it means for the weekend, because we do have a warming trend probably later today and maybe some rain tomorrow, which is going to spike the avalanche hazard quite dramatically. Stick around for the snowpack discussion. This week we're on the north aspect at around 1,300 meters. And so if you watched last week, we had a crust that was well defined in the snowpack, and there was 30 to 40 centimeters of snow on it. So the crust is all the way down here now. And this was the snow that we had last week. So right here is probably the old interface that we had on the surface in the last video. And right now what we have here is a layer of really ridiculously large graupels. And then throughout the week it just snowed and snowed, but by small increment. And all of that new snow seems to be settling quite nicely. So this morning when we came in, we're under considerable hazard. We had 20 overnight, got like a meter in the last week. So we were a little bit tentative. But what we found is that the new snow in the last 48 hours or so is still really nice and dry. It hasn't really settled into a slab yet. So as we were skiing, being conservative, we found like really no sign of instability, no cracking, no woomping, nothing like that. Certainly not any avalanche activity. So we just kept on skiing into sort of progressively steeper terrain. And it was just really, really good skiing. Now, unfortunately, all of this is about to change quite a bit because we're in early afternoon right now, and the forecast is for temperatures to rise, unfortunately, and probably even with a little bit of rain overnight and then into tomorrow as well. So testing the snow with Snowpack test in this profile site, we actually didn't get any results. However, we've done other tests throughout the week, and certainly there is a layer of grapple that is problematic, maybe around 60 to 75 down, which was still producing sudden planer results yesterday. So while we weren't really able to trigger or even get any sense of it while we were skiing today, a warming period and rain on top of that is going to put quite a bit more stress onto the snowpack, which is why, I'm anticipating certainly today, Avalanche Canada is calling for a red brick for the forecast tomorrow. And I imagine that when the new forecast comes out this afternoon, it'll probably be the same thing. So as we're heading into the weekend, tomorrow doesn't look too promising. Again, probably like rain in the morning and then transitioning back to snow, and then more snow again coming on the Sunday. So I think that the hazard is going to be quite dynamic, especially tomorrow. Tomorrow is probably not a very good day to go out and explore too much. We're going to have to see what that warming and that rain does to that meter of new snow that we got during the last week. The snow is fairly uniform all the way through until you reach that layer of grapple, which in this profile site is quite a bit bigger than in other places. And that would be probably my biggest concern right now is the weakening of the snowpack with the rain and the warming and the additional load from the rain, and how this layer here is going to be able to tolerate that. Once we've gone through that period and the temperatures fall again and we start with new snow, in all likelihood, we're going to have probably not a hard crust. It's going to transition gradually back to snow. So I'm thinking that the bond of the snow on Sunday is likely going to be reasonably good to the crust that's going to form after the rain. And that's, of course, provided that we have rain. Maybe the weather forecast is completely wrong and I'm just babbling now. So it's going to be a dynamic weekend. You want to be mindful of the fact that we got like 2 meters of snow in 2 weeks, basically. And now we're just about to get a first warm period and a dump of rain on that. So there's lots of uncertainties, lots of questions, and you don't want to be in the wrong place to figure out the answer to those questions. That's all I got for this week. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next week.